It's the Elsa Kurt Show with Clay Novak. Serving up trending news and conservative views. Brought to you by the Elsa Kurt Collection. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
Well, hey, my friend, how are you?
I'm good. It's been a week, but I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I am good. I know you've had a busy week. I've actually had a busy week. I don't know why I say that like it's such a surprise, but yeah, it went by fast. I feel like this whole year has gone by extremely fast.
Yes.
I literally was summer 1 minute ago, and now we're almost at Thanksgiving, and I just can't wrap my brain around it. I don't know if it's like a age thing, like the older you get, the faster time seems to move or what, but I can't.
Don't say
Crazy.
that.
I know.
But you're right. Like daylight savings hit, and I was like, it's November. Like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
With
Yeah.
it. The year has moved very, very quickly.
So fast. So we'll tell everybody right off the bat, we are doing something unusual that we don't normally do. Today, recording time is Thursday. As you guys should well know by now, we normally record on Wednesday and we air the show on Thursday. And we are recording and airing all in the same day. So fun for all of us, I guess.
Folks, it's 5:00 Eastern time. So we've got about 4-hour difference between recording and airing. So it'll be about as current as it can get. But this is both of Elsa and I having busy lives. This was about the time that we could iron things out and both be on the same page. So it'll be a little more current than normal, but we always want to get the show out for you guys, and we got some great topics this week. Lots going on, lots to talk about, and we will get started right after this.
6 weeks into the shutdown, and Democrats are still holding America hostage. Blue states double down on bad ideas and electing socialists while blaming Trump for their own mess. The president faces the 60 Minutes editing room. Again, U.S. troops quietly move into Africa and South America. And the media yawns. Former Vice President Dick Cheney passes, leaving behind a legacy of strength and controversy. And even Bill Gates finally admits the planet's not ending after all. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Well, here we are, week 6 in the Schumer shutdown. And they shut down, I think it was like 15 times now so far. They have shut down every attempt to reopen the government, holding us all hostage still. And for, all of the folks that continuously want to, especially them, we know it's them leading this charge, to blame President Trump for this. We got a little graphic here that tells you the truth of all of this, of who's actually doing it. So it's definitely not President Trump. It is definitely the Democrats. And I made a projection, and I don't know how right I'll be. I feel like this will be over within a matter of days, potentially, because those elections are done. Serve their purpose to a degree, and now they're going to start going, well, I think it's time. Am I crazy? Am I wrong? What do you think?
Listen, I blew it from the get-go. Remember, this is my most wrong projection of all time. I think I thought this was going to be under 2 weeks. I thought it was going to be about 10 days. Mm-hmm. Clearly not. We're rolling into week 6. Mm-hmm. You're right about the election. I think that played and I think certain people, I don't know if Jeffries has been public about it, but there have been politicians that have been publicly said that they were going to wait until after the elections to kind of, attempt to resolve this. But I also heard now they're talking about Thanksgiving. Like they want to move people through Thanksgiving. They're actually actively talking about ruining people's holidays to try and blame it on President Trump. John Fetterman has said that this is political theater and it's embarrassing. He's embarrassed for his party. So it's not a secret. And those who are being honest, as you talked about with the graphic, those who are being honest understand that this is not President Trump. He can't affect this. Folks, he cannot affect this. And Speaker of the House has been involved. And so they're doing everything they can. But you're right. I think we're 15 votes now where the Democrats have voted to continue the shutdown and not even negotiate. Zero
Right.
negotiation, zero discussion. Who are you hearing was going to cross? Because it's going to take, I think they still need maybe 4 or 5 more with Fetterman, 4 or 5 more to get it to pass. Or are you
Yeah,
talking about nuclear?
I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest thing, the thing that I think is really making me and probably a lot of people the most furious is that these SOBs are still collecting their paycheck.
Yeah.
And that is the highest insult of all. And I think that needs to be one of the very first things to change, like as immediately as possible. And I don't think we should stand for anything less than this. If you're going to shut down the government and take food out of people's mouths and paychecks out of people's pockets, you're not getting one. You are not getting a paycheck. Screw that. So that needs to change effective immediately. And I don't know how that works because I don't know the things, but again,
I think we talked about this before. President Trump obviously donates his paycheck every
Right.
month. He's $400,000. He's done it. He did it through the first administration. He's going to do it. He's been doing it through this one.
Mhm.
So he donates it. I don't know how to shut it off. But I don't think it should be optional. I agree with you. I think, I don't know if there are any. I haven't heard of any. I'm sure there are some Congress people out there that are donating their check,
Mhm.
but it shouldn't be optional. I think they
Right.
should all get it turned off. And the president has said the same thing. He's also pushing for the nuclear option, understanding that has long-term impact of getting rid of the filibuster.
Mhm.
So if the GOP or when the GOP loses control of the House or the Senate, then they won't have that at their disposal either.
Mhm.
So doing that is, you can't, there's no undo button on that one. So
Yeah.
it's a deliberate decision. But what is also happening the longer that this goes on is that the reserve funds that do exist are being expended.
Mhm.
So, we're dipping into funding that was either allocated for something else or, was a treasure chest or a reserve or a just in case that's out there. The president wants to reinstate WIC and SNAP for those that
Mhm.
American citizens. They have delved into some defense funding to make sure the military has gotten paid. They've taken some donations to make sure the military's gotten paid. But folks, those extra dollars are running out.
Mhm.
And just as an example, the military for the most part gets paid the 1st and the 15th of every month.
Mhm.
SNAP WIC benefits, and tied into the election, like you were talking about, come out 1st of the month. Military benefits come out once a month, 1st of the month. So some of these things are hitting those cycles where they've used the reserve or they're dipping into the reserve and there's not enough for a second one or
Mhm.
a third one in many cases. And it's starting to take its toll. I
Yeah.
have friends still either on active duty or civilians who work on military bases, and things are starting to shut down in that dining facilities, chow halls, as they're commonly, mess halls, as they're commonly.
Yeah.
Some of those are starting to shut down because they don't have the funding to buy the food to prepare for the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines. Okay. So
Mhm.
now those kids who aren't getting a paycheck or aren't getting a
Right.
partial paycheck now have to go out and get food that they are not being even funded to buy. Because when you do it in a chow hall, you get a card that says, hey, I can eat here for nothing. It's taken out of my check.
Right.
They're also getting to the point where the commissaries, the grocery stores on the bases, which provide tax-free, more affordable food shopping for military families, are
Mhm.
also approaching shutdown because they don't have the funding to keep them open as well. So, we're starting to get into second, third, and fourth order effects of the shutdown that are starting to affect people as much as the president's, Sec War and everybody else want to continue to pay federal law enforcement,
Sure.
FAA and all those folks. Even that extra money, spare money, backup
Mhm.
money, contingency money is starting to run out.
Right. Uh, it's so infuriating, all of it, and that there are certainly enough people that are believing that this is President Trump's fault, the Republicans' fault, when it's so blatant and clear that it's these guys holding this ransom. And I, as painful as it is, I don't disagree with President Trump about not bowing down to their this hijacking and this deliberate sabotage. You give into this, it sets that precedent. But none of this should be allowed. They should not be allowed to shut down the government like this. It just simply shouldn't even be apparent. I know, the horse is already out of the barn. It's well happening. I think this is the longest. I know that it's the longest shutdown in history. I don't know what the longest was before this one. Do you have any idea?
It was not close to this. Like I think maybe
Not
in the
close.
24-day-ish world, and we're well beyond that. And today the government basically told the four major U.S. airlines, hey, you need to start cutting flights because we're not going to be able to manage airspace like we have been. Manning staffing is going down. And they told American United, Delta, and I think Southwest to start paring back, canceling flights, reducing number of flights. So that, I think, if you think in terms of how Congress people live, right, if you're not within driving distance of Washington, D.C., it is now going to become very inconvenient to return home during time.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons I don't think that this is going to go into Thanksgiving, because
it'll start to affect them, right?
Yeah. And I really, really think that what especially Speaker Johnson will do is he will hold them there. He will tell them they are not going home for Thanksgiving until they get this thing resolved. I actually think he should lock them in now.
Absolutely, he should.
And stay there until it's done.
Yes.
Give everybody 24 hours and be like, hey, go home, pack a bag, bring some clothes, get your toothbrush,
settle in. Yeah.
And settle in, because nobody's going home until we figure this out.
Yeah.
So, it's embarrassing. It's shameful. The entire world is watching this craziness go on. And listen, folks, Elsa and I both, we said this last week. There are plenty of people out there, American citizens, who need SNAP and WIC. Okay. We do not agree with anybody to miss out on those benefits. We are talking about women, and infants and children in need. We're talking about low-income families in need. Those benefits, as corrupt as that system can be, there are people who really, really do need that stuff to survive.
Yeah.
And we would like to see that restored. Obviously, there's concerns with the military. There's concerns with FAA. There's concern with federal law enforcement. But really, I think getting those folks the benefits that they need is priority number one. And then we can move from there. But this is, it's embarrassing and it's shameful.
It's shameful. And, I came across this video. I'm going to share another video with you guys. And I used it for some content I created, I don't know, last week or whatever. And, I posed it as, I just simply said that the president had this to say about these shutdowns. And then, of course, did the counter of a liberal blaming Trump. And then I played this video here. Give me a second. I'll pull it up for you. Hold on. It's going to take a moment. Because I remembered it. Honestly, I remembered it at the last minute that I have it. Okay, so here it is.
Not like the law. They can go through, Republicans do not like the law. They can go through the regular channels and processes to try to change it. That's why we have elections. So they can go through the normal processes and procedures of a democracy, but you do not threaten the full faith and credit of the United States of America. Shutting down the government just because you don't like a law that was passed. I have to say, no Congress before this one has ever in history been irresponsible enough to threaten an economic shutdown, to suggest America not pay its bills, just to try to blackmail a president into giving them some concessions. I will not negotiate on anything when it comes to the full faith and credit of the United States of America. We're not going to submit to this kind of total irresponsibility. Congress needs to pay our bills on time. Congress needs to pass a budget on time. Congress needs to put an end to governing from crisis to crisis. Republicans do not like.
So, I mean, there you have it. If you don't want to listen to President Trump say it, listen to your buddy there, Obama, who said it first. Amazing, isn't it? Like, memory is so fickle. Collective.
It's all, listen, he's the same guy that, him and Hillary shut down the border. Bill said it too, all of those things. And now, situations evolve and things change.
Yeah, the only thing that has changed.
A year ago was telling young black men to vote for Kamala because she came from where you came from. And she grew up the same way you grew up with. And then he turns around and he endorses the white lady for governor in Virginia, as opposed to the black Jamaican immigrant, former Marine officer, fully qualified, former lieutenant governor of the state. He doesn't endorse her. He endorses the white lady. So again, it's all political theater. Obama shows his face to be garbage more and more every single day. And you're right. As much as they want to blame President Trump, President Obama just laid everything out for him about how wrong it really is.
Right. And, and it goes to prove that every single time, it doesn't matter what's being said. It matters who's saying it. Right.
Correct.
It's always about who's saying it, because they are literally saying essentially the same exact thing. And it was received from Obama with applause and cheers and, oh, you're so amazing. You're so brilliant. And from President Trump, it's received with, outright hostility and scorn and mockery and all of the things. So, these people, this crowd just invalidates themselves over and over and over again. And, everybody's just sick and tired of it, except for the blue states. They just love it. They just love it. So, first and foremost, Clay, I want to say congratulations, really, like seriously, to Virginia, because I mean, bravo. And if that, if that isn't just prize enough for you, Virginia, we have this. So this is a reading of a text message exchange. Now,
3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Colleague. Jay, please stop. Jones. LOL, okay. I mean, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes. Colleague. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Jones. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy.
Yeah. Good on you.
That guy got elected as the senior law enforcement official for the state of Virginia.
Make it make sense, Clay. Make it make sense.
I don't want it to make sense. What I want it to make is criminal charges.
Yeah.
Because what that is a threat.
Yes.
To another human being and their family.
Yes.
I at a minimum in most states that is assault.
Right.
And I know it's a private conversation, and it really doesn't matter because it's not private anymore.
Right.
What I would really love is that Pam Bondi presents federal charges against him and charges him as a felon, and he is disbarred because that's what he deserves.
Yeah. That has to happen.
That's not even retribution, folks. That's not political, lawfare, whatever you want to call it. That is a human being that should never be anywhere near practicing law, let alone law enforcement.
Yeah.
Like that's not kidding. And folks, I have about as dark a sense of humor as a, multi-combat tour kind of guy. Like veterans get pretty dark. That is sick. That is a mental illness. That is somebody who has a significant problem, and there is no way on earth he should be the Attorney General for the state of Virginia. No way.
Correct. 100%. And I'm with you, Clay. I am such a fan of gallows humor. That is not what that was.
No.
That was a sick, twisted, evil mindset and thing to say. Who says something like that? And the LOL, really, that's the part, it's funny to you, and it's funny to you.
Yeah. I want to know who the college is. Do you know?
I don't know. If anybody knows, put it in the comment section. I don't know.
That person gave him a touch of a reality check. Like, hey, you should stop saying this.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, you're talking about somebody's kids. And he just kept going.
To not pick up on the cue, to not even pick up on the dude, what are you saying here? I'm not on board with what you're saying. And to keep going with it, to double down on it and expand on it is wow.
And to say, I've told you this before.
Right. So, which is obviously why this guy or woman is, I'm sure I would suspect it's a guy. It's a male colleague. Yeah. I don't know why. I'm just assuming it's a male colleague, but I feel like that would be I don't know. But so he must have been all right, we're gonna readdress this conversation. Maybe it was an in-person conversation they had, and he said these things, and he's like, all right, let me get this in print that you're actually saying things like that. And the saddest part about that is that colleague probably went, okay, well, this guy's a monster. This will show everyone what a monster he is, and this will get him at the very least out of the running. Nope.
No.
Nope.
And like, he didn't even lose the endorsement of the woman who just got elected to be the governor of Virginia. She had the opportunity 20 times in public, in debates, in interviews. People asked her specifically, are you pulling your endorsement? She changed the subject and let it go. And she's okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, not just okay with it, but like, she endorsed this guy and wouldn't pull her endorsement. So how sick is she?
Yeah. Well, this is, you know, I mean, how many more clear indicators can we possibly get as a nation of what the left chooses? The left chooses violence every single damn time. This is who they are. And for these blue states, for these voters in these blue states to either not recognize it, not believe it, or accept it as right and good and excusable, I don't even have any words for it. I mean, keep your damn states. You don't have to worry about my going there. I wouldn't step foot. You know.
Yeah, and it's so you've got that. You've got the New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Governor. We'll get into the New York City mayor in a minute.
Yeah, that's a whole.
You've got Prop 50 in California, which for those that aren't tracking, basically disbanded California's nonpartisan committee for redistricting for the next 3 election cycles.
Right.
So it is essentially an appointed committee, which everybody knows is going to come from Newsom's office, which means it's all going to be Democrats. They're going to gerrymander the state to make sure that every single district is blue. You know, because they say they're trying to countermand what's happening in Texas. And that passed, right? So their state of California voted to be nonpartisan. Like, let's just be completely honest and say what it is. They have voted to be nonpartisan. And thankfully, the one turn for the good, for crying out loud, was the Minneapolis mayor.
Oh, yeah, that. I mean...
Yeah. So for the
one bright
mechanics,
spot.
for the mechanics of the election, very much like how City of Chicago got this idiot Brandon Johnson. So nobody in Minneapolis hit 50%, which is the threshold for them to be an automatic win. So what Minneapolis has is this is nuts. You can rank 3 candidates, right? And so when you don't hit 50%, then they have to go back, take all of the rankings. They do a special calculation for all of the rankings. And then whoever wins that ranking system, then it becomes the mayor. Thankfully, the Somali Muslim, Ilhan Omar's best buddy did not win, thankfully. And the current mayor of Minneapolis, who's not great, by the way, but he retained his office for a 3rd term. But it was dicey for a little bit that we were going to have another, Muslim truth. I'll say it, jihadist, radical, claims Somalia as his home, speaks in, multiple tongues when he's talking to the voting base, all of it, waving a Somali flag at an election for an American mayor. Thankfully, that guy lost. But that's the only bright spot of the day.
Right. And then, then you have your soy latte drinking liberals shouting that we are just being racist and all of that, and we don't like multiculturalism and diversity. It's like, are you can't be that stupid. Like, can you be that stupid? Or, you just like throwing out these ridiculous words, because we have a multicultural cabinet. We have a multicultural government. We have a multicultural world. We're saying no to socialism. We're saying no to communism. We're saying no radicalism. We're saying no to all of those things. And yes, they do come typically from a particular area. It is what it is. I'm not going to apologize for that. I mean, the Muslims make no secret of what their goals and intentions are. So just stop already with your nonsense. And, I think, some people perhaps on the right, we're kind of going into like maybe a little bit of a panic mode here, saying like, oh, it's going to be a blue wave. Or no, these were already blue. These were already blue states. This was, I mean, we were talking about this already for at least 2 weeks, saying that we knew at the very least Mamdani was in. We knew that was happening, and I feel like kind of everyone already knew that this was a foregone conclusion that this would happen.
But with that one, you and I talked about it. So it was close enough to 50%.
Yes.
Because Sliwa didn't drop out. And not saying that every single person who voted for Sliwa would have voted for Cuomo, but it was probably pretty close.
Yeah.
That race could have turned. Had Sliwa not been self-centered, arrogant, the 7.5%, just under 8% that he took away from Cuomo really made a decisive change in the outcome of that election. So
kind of makes him the Ross Perot of.
It's exactly it. You're 100% right. But what you touched on with the elections, and I've got a couple of stats here. So young white women, and I say young in the 18 to 29-year-old range, educated, right? Mm-hmm. That demographic, 81% of them voted for Mamdani. 80% of them voted for Cheryl in New Jersey. 78% of them voted for Spanberger in Virginia.
They are
the ones voting.
Brainwashed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Educated
Absolutely
white women are the listen, folks, if you're one of those people and you're listening to us, you are a super minority and we love you. Thank you for being on the side of common sense. But that demographic is the one that is making and they're being targeted now by the Dems and by the socialists specifically.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. But this is where every stinking time the right drops the Republicans, the GOP, that's where they drop the ball. Like, they're paying attention. Why are we not paying attention? Reach these people. I don't care how you freaking do it, but you have these think tanks where you mastermind all of your strategies and your marketing and your campaigning and your all of the things. Why are you not paying attention to these groups? These are major voting groups. You need to get to them. Like, do it. I don't know how. I can't tell you how, because that's not my lane. That's not my job. But there are people whose job it is.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I think, over the last, especially if you look back to the last presidential election a year ago, there's a lot of focus on Hispanics, right? And there was a big red turn demographic. There was a big red turn in Black young males. I think they're targeting groups. That group they have not cracked the code on. And it's becoming very apparent, one, but two, influential. So you're right. I think in the next cycle for the next year, as we approach, a normal, even year election cycle in 2026, the GOP, and they're going to have to figure this out because they're missing the boat on that demographic, and it's really, really starting to hurt things.
And I'm going to say something a little insulting and offensive, maybe to our crowd, but I'm going to say it anyway. Stop putting forward crusty old white men. Like, you're not touching that demographic. You're not appealing to that demographic. Mandami, AOC. Yes, I mean, they're super gross to us and we see through it all. They're not seeing through it. They're seeing young and fresh and energetic and in touch and in tune with everything. Get some young blood in there on the conservative side and start winning them over. I mean, simple as that. Do it.
And listen, let's be honest. Even many of the females on the GOP side are not appealing to many of the females, female voters.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Right.
There's a lot of women who have a problem with Lauren Boebert. There's a lot of women who have problems with Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's a lot of, it's so, I don't know, truthfully, I won't speak because I don't know for sure how women feel about Nancy Mace, but like her moving back to run for governor and coming out of Congress, I think is hurtful, as far as attracting the GOP base of voters for women, but I don't know that for sure. So you're right. That's the targeting that's got to happen. Yeah. But let's talk Mamdani, because this is the this is a linchpin. It really, really is.
Yes.
A significant. Everybody says, "Oh, it's just a city." No, it's not a city. It's the city.
It's the city.
Literally, the city.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
800,000 is the estimate right now. 800,000, an exodus of 800,000 voters out of New York City. Even if it's half of that, okay?
Right. Yeah.
Even if it's half of that, it's still almost 500,000 people leaving because of him. Businesses are going to leave and are planning to leave because of him. We're already, I saw today, the chief of the NYFD, who's Jewish, resigned.
Wow.
Right? I thought 170 police officers took early retirement today.
Yeah. And that's just the beginning. It's just the beginning.
It's all just the beginning, folks. So, and really what that does, that exodus, and I know there's a lot of people like, hey, Florida's full. Hey, Texas is full. Hey, Ohio's full. Like, don't move here. And I sympathize with them. I really do.
Yeah.
The problem is that as all of those conservative, even centrist voters and businesses leave New York, that makes it much more difficult in the future. It becomes bluer and bluer and bluer every time one of those people moves.
Right.
So I think tragedy is the only thing that is going to change things in New York, and we're on the precipice of tragedy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's listen, if there's an opposite outcome to happen from this, no one will be more shocked than me, because this feels pretty predictable, right? I mean, this is the writing is on the wall. You know, you elect an open socialist. I'm sorry, democratic socialist, right? That's what they call themselves to make it sound pretty.
Yeah,
you're gonna get what you asked for here, and that female demographic that you were talking about, you know, the irony has not escaped any of us, right, guys? The irony of it all has not escaped any of us. These are the same people, the gay and lesbians for, for Palestine and all of that. You know, these are people that have no comprehension that the people that they are rooting for and cheering for and applauding and voting for, stone and throw off of buildings gay people. They absolutely do not accept homosexuality whatsoever. Women are, not even second class, they're like third class citizens in their culture. You will get what you asked for, and I am sorry for you and for everyone who has to now live with what they've done. And unfortunately, it's like the only way that there's going to be any kind of wake up call here. Like, okay, you're going to get what you wanted. You can have.
In the waning days of his campaign, he basically told folks, "Listen, I don't need money from you anymore. Like, stop making donations. Like, it's run its course. And then immediately is already asking for money.
Yeah.
He's already asking for donations. I know I told you to stop giving money, but I need your money.
Yeah.
So this is the guy, right? This is the guy who thinks that everything's going to be paid for. Oh, by the way, super arrogant in the sense, did you see that he's like, I'm still waiting for my phone call from President Trump congratulating me on a victory. You're going to be waiting a while.
You got a long wait, buddy. You got a long wait. Any phone call you get, you're going to wish you didn't get it. I can guarantee that. So funny thing, I just saw, earlier today, I think it was, and I meant to say that. I didn't say that. I'm sorry, guys. But apparently, I think it was Don Lemon was surprised. This was the headline. He was surprised at the change in tone of Mamdani, who was always so cheerful and pleasant and optimistic and positive and nice on the campaign trail. And now that he won, his speech was not very nice and loving and welcoming. And he was so surprised by that.
That's because Don Lemon is an idiot.
He's an idiot. Yeah, he's a pure idiot. We do have not the whole speech, but we have enough of the speech just to kind of give you the idea of who and what this guy is about. Right here it is.
For you, I think of the words of Jawaharlal Nehru. A moment comes but rarely in history when we step out from the old to the new. When an age ends and when the soul of a nation long suppressed finds utterance. Tonight we have stepped out from the old into the new. So let us speak now with clarity and conviction that cannot be misunderstood. about what this new age will deliver and for whom.
For whom? Exactly. Who is that going to be for? By the way, he was quoting a communist jihadist from India who, just handed it all over to Hamas, basically. So, yeah, that's who he was quoting in his speech, not as the quote. You couldn't see it. I'm going to enlarge that for everybody. Not Lincoln, not, Jefferson. No, a communist. Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. And our audience is, they are who they are, and they believe, for the most part, in everything that we believe in. I will tell you that what New York just did was an insult. The city itself, by voting him in, was an insult to this entire nation, specifically to an entire generation of warriors who defended her after 9/11.
Right.
And the entire sentiment of never forget, we will never forget. New York proved itself to be a second-class city. They are not the Big Apple. They are not, the City of Lights. They are not a shining beacon of any kind. They are untrustworthy. They are two-faced. They are shallow. They are greedy. That city has embarrassed all of us by electing a jihadist, an Islamist, a communist, and a man who stands for everything against America. Everything in his belief system is anti-American. It's anti-constitutional. It's anti-everything about America. Everything. And New York put him in office. And New York, I hate to say this because I really don't ever want it to get to this. You said it. You reap what you sow. New York City is going to burn. And it is. And there's going to be such destruction in the next few years as a result of this guy. Because I know the governor has said he's made a lot of promises, and there's a lot of promises he's made that he can't enforce. But what he can do is allow the city to go to ruins, because that's what he wants. He wants that city to go to ruins. He wants the rule of law to fall apart so he can replace it with Sharia law. That is the plan, folks. He wants that to happen. There can be a shell of a NYPD. There can be a shell of public services. But what he wants is shadow governments, neighborhood contingencies to rise up and police themselves outside of American law, because that's what he wants. This is step one in the Islamic takeover of the United States. And I will tell you that it is going to fail miserably, because there are too many non-Muslims in New York City. But this is catastrophic. It really is.
It is. It makes me sad, and more than sad, it makes me so angry that this has been allowed to get to this point. It blows my mind. I will very sarcastically applaud them for developing and executing a campaign against America so successfully. Slow clap for you, because you did a good job in those areas. You accomplished those goals with the compliance of foolish Americans, ideological idiots, really. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I think you people who cheered this on and are applauding it, you 18 to 29-year-old women, I think you are the idiots of the universe. And I am disgusted with all of you for being so foolish, for being so incredibly foolish, and not knowing history and not knowing what has been going on in the rest of the world. Put down your damn soy latte. Put down the bottle of blue freaking hair dye and wake the hell up. Yeah. Gross. Can't stand it.
And again, in another election cycle, complicit because of media support.
Yes.
We're going to talk about President Trump on 60 Minutes. But I will say this. There is an article out there, an editorial by the Wall Street Journal, who is talking about the threat that Mamdani is to New York and to the business of the United States. So we have a media outlet that traditionally has not been necessarily all that objective, being very, very honest about what just happened in New York. So
and there's actually I saw I'm not a fan, obviously. This should go without saying, but Deborah Messing, she's an actress, very outspoken liberal actress. Another one that can't stand Trump. Surprise, surprise. She has been all of a sudden very vocally against
She's Jewish.
mom thing. Yes, yeah.
She's Michael Rappaport. If you guys haven't been,
Yes,
Michael Rappaport, who was very threatened to beat up Trump in a very
literally
way,
right.
has completely flipped over, and is a super supporter of President Trump, and is very anti-Hollywood right now and all of his compatriots. Yep. So there's a movement going on, and this is more of the same. But yeah, I saw the Deborah Messing thing too.
Yep, yeah, right, we'll see more of it. We'll see more of that.
Let's talk President Trump in 60 minutes.
Let's talk about it. Yes, I did not watch it. It's on my to watch list of things to catch up on.
He gave them 90 minutes, and I think they said that the total recorded time was like 67 minutes, which is available. I think an unedited version is out there. I think President Trump actually put it out. But what was on 60 Minutes itself was about, I think it's just over 30 minutes. Am I right on that?
I think so. I'm looking at my notes here. I don't know if I have them many minutes, but yeah, it was definitely not 60 minutes.
No, and it was very edited.
Yeah.
It was very, very edited. And it was, what's her name? She ran the lady that interviewed him is the same one who ran one of the debates with.
Yeah. It's going to come to me at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I'll be able to tell you.
And she did a horrible job again.
Of course she did.
I
don't understand how these women listen, I'm not even saying that I could do it better, but actually I think I might be saying I could do it better.
He was on his game though. I give President Trump is he's obviously very quick on his feet. He's super intelligent and he's great in an interview. But he was really on his game. And he really kept her at bay. He put her in her place a couple of times. She asked very specific questions about China, about Taiwan. She asked very specific questions, about narco-terrorism, some other things. And she really actually directly asked President Trump to reveal why he hasn't said publicly that we would back Taiwan if China attacked, or why we wouldn't do specific things. And he looked at her and he goes, I'm not telling you anything. I'm not revealing any secrets to you. You're a reporter. I have no obligation to tell you that. I'm the president. I'm not telling you what our war plans are. And he was very blunt about it, which was, he didn't tap dance around anything, which was great.
Good. He can't with them.
No.
And obviously he has learned that from vast experience of dealing with them, that, you have to give them the most blunt, direct, not ambiguous answers you can possibly give. And it is crazy, the audacity that they have though, right? Like that they think you think you're entitled to that kind of information.
Yes.
Who are you?
Yep.
Who do you even think you are?
Perfect word.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what it is entitled.
So entitled.
Yeah. But it was a good, it was a good interview. It was good for President Trump. I didn't realize it had been that long, since he had been on 60 Minutes.
How long has it been? It's been a long time.
Over 5 years.
Oh, okay. Really?
So yeah. So I know that he obviously has had some issues with them, but he didn't, and I know that, the Kamala Harris edited interview, we all familiar with that from the campaign, the election cycle, but he didn't do a single interview with 60 Minutes from the time that he left office through the entire campaign and all the way up until now. He hasn't been on there at all. But he did great, as he always does. But they did edit it, and there have been people who've done some here's what he said, and here's where they cut it off, and here's the rest of the story where they manipulated. They didn't change what he said, but they changed the context of it in their editing. And it's very apparent that they're doing what they do. And
absolutely. Well, we knew they wouldn't learn anything from the past mistakes or from who was it, CBS?
Yeah.
So what was that, 60 million? I think it was.
Yeah.
So they probably you could just picture them sitting back there in that editing room, all right, so how can we do this
exactly
so that we don't, right?
100% agree with you.
They're so here's the, where's my hand? Here it is. So here's the line. Let's get right there, right to the hair's breadth of it. Yeah.
And they didn't alter anything he said, but by eliminating, they changed the context, right? There was one controversial, there's a lot of controversial, but one of the controversial things they talked about, they asked him about a pardon that he gave to a crypto guy who got convicted underneath the Biden administration, and he gave the guy a pardon. And she asked him, and he goes, "Listen, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know who the guy is." So, and what he said was, "I was told that it was a witch hunt from the Biden administration. He got some, stupid, horrible, overdone sentence, and I pardoned him." And so, CBS turned around and they put this picture up because the two Trump boys were supposedly affiliated with the crypto that this guy was involved in.
Oh, I see.
Well, in a masterclass of President Trump, what he basically put everybody in a corner is saying, because they came after him right away, like everybody afterwards was like, well, how could he not know? How could he, they're blaming Biden for the auto pen and he's signing off on pardons because he didn't even know who the guy was. And it's like, okay, well, you either have to say it's okay that he didn't know the guy so that you can defend the auto pen, or you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, right?
Brilliant.
So, or
he puts them in those corners all the time. Yeah.
Or they have to admit that he's failing mentally, or he's this, or he's signing things that he doesn't even know what he's signing, and that's bad. Well, yeah, okay, so's the auto pen. So he brilliantly painted people into a corner on that specific topic. And truthfully, 60 Minutes walked into it because they asked the question.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, good on him. I I know Vice President Vance recently did not an interview, but stood up there and took I don't know if it was an hour's worth of questions, but it was a long period of time where he just stood up at the podium, took all of these questions, and not just nice, friendly, not the spoon-fed questions that the team Biden's people did, the cherry picked questions and they were told what to ask. He took questions from a hostile crowd and he stayed up there and he took them all. And this administration has done this consistently over and over again, on the fly, scheduled, planned, not planned, walking to the plane, getting off the plane, walking down the street, whatever. They take these questions off the cuff all the time and they answer them every time. Not would be, I'll have to look into that, or I'll have to circle back to that. Or they answer the questions every time. So they are doing, much more in that regard than past presidents, especially the last clown show. So yeah, good on him. And, one of those topics is the current employment of our military and some of the things that we're doing with them. And so, we've got the discussion. We'll talk both of these, but we'll talk South America first because it expands into, oh, by the way, the UN said we have to stop blowing up drug boats. And pretty much I'm promising you that Sec State, Sec War, President, Vice President are all going to tell the UN, we don't work for you, and go away. So, but there's discussion about the expansion of those operations into potential ground operations in Mexico and potentially into Venezuela with CIA special operations, et cetera, beyond just what's going on with the boats. Now, are we okay with this? I would tell you that, we can blow up boats all day long, and it does put a significant dent along with securing the border. But that amps up the violence in other places. So there was just a mayor in Mexico that was murdered by the cartel, and these are the things that are going to continue to happen. So there's discussion about how far we want to expand in this. I would tell you that everybody who thinks that we don't know who and what are on those boats are fooling themselves, because we know exactly who and what's on those boats. Right.
But the expansion into ground operations inside of Mexico and other places in South America, now you're potentially putting, soldiers and intelligence officers at risk, and so that amps things up a little bit. That all has to be done with support and endorsement from those nations where we're operating. I don't think we would ever walk into Mexico heavy-handed and say, hey, we're going to fix this, et cetera. Now, Africa is interesting because Africa, as we talked about, is about stopping the genocide of Christians in Nigeria. And President Trump himself said, we're not going to allow this to happen. This is going to stop. And you know who he got endorsement from? Did you see this? Nicki Minaj.
I did. I saw that. That was amazing. Yeah, that was unexpected. I actually scrolled past And then I went back in. I'm like, wait, what am I reading here? Yeah, it's crazy.
Right. So, and there are people who do not endorse this because they say we've never gone to war on behalf of protecting another religion, which I'm pretty sure the end of World War II was really all about protect, like
yeah, kind of, sort of, maybe,
anyway,
definitely, yeah.
But this is not about Christians. This is about genocide.
Right.
Okay. And you can make it a religious thing just as much as you want to make it a race thing. You can make it whatever you want. But the reality is it is genocide. We, the United States, along with the United Nations and NATO, have turned a blind eye to many atrocities in Africa.
Right.
And really over the last 20 years, we've done it mostly because China owns most of Africa, whether people know it or not. We have been very, very cautious about what we do and where we do it inside of the continent because of China's presence there. President Trump has made no bones about it. He doesn't care if this is a genocide going on. He has no problem putting folks on the ground to stop this from happening. And I, for one, am fully in support of this. I assume you are on that train as well.
Let me think about that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm so on board for that. And it's, the atrocities that are happening over there in other places. I'm sorry, guys. My voice just decided that it didn't want to cooperate for the rest of the show here, so bear with me. The atrocities that are happening over there and other places as well, it is horrifying, and we're so far removed from it. It's like it's like watching a movie. It's like watching a show. It's like reading something. It's all of the things that it actually is, because we are not there, because we don't see it, because we don't hear about it constantly. We can get very, immune to having a heart for that. And I think if you take the time to really understand what's happening over there, this is the only right thing to do. We talk about, or I'll go with the left again, they talk about this humanitarian, desire to help. Like there, of course, their thing is Palestine, this is what they say, children are starving, terrible things are happening, people are dying, they're this and that. There are atrocities happening in other places in the world as well. Where is your heart for that? Like, is it because they're Christians that we don't care about that? Is that the deal?
That's exactly right.
Yep. So, pardon me for not really even giving a moment's thought to, or paying a moment's attention to their blustering over their distaste for that. They can,
and listen, folks, I think you guys probably know me well enough now. I am not one to advocate for this kind of stuff. I am not based on my own experience and all the stuff that I did. I am not one who goes looking to put young Americans in harm's way. However, this is a humanitarian cause. These are the things that our American military should be doing. And we should be getting in front of this. Like, this should have been stopped a while ago, my personal opinion. And so these are the things that I am on board with. And I think that we collectively as a nation, if there's a genocide, like, these are the things that we step in the middle of, and we employ our military to put a stop to. So I'm not looking to start a fight, but these are the fights. These are the things that we need to end. And that, I think, where we need to sit. However, we did have a pretty notorious individual pass away this past week.
Yes, the notorious Cheney. Yeah, so I have to confess, the day that we were kind of going back and forth a little bit on the topics, I hadn't looked at my computer. I hadn't looked at my social media. I did not know that he passed away until you texted me and told me that. And I was like, oh yeah. Oh wait, wow. Okay. And I'm like, oh, let me go find that. Let me go over on X and see what they're saying. But so I was very late to knowing that. The rest of the world was ahead of me on that one. Go ahead, talk about it, because I was asking Clay beforehand. Like, I was trying to remember. I'll confess, guys, I couldn't remember. I knew he left a bad taste in people's mouths, and I honestly could not remember why. Don't come for me, guys. So go ahead. So I know there's got to be at least one person out there also that's like, yeah, I don't remember either. So
it's been a while. Listen, he was vice president for Bush 2. So he was vice president on 9/11. And obviously his time in office ended way back in 2008. So it's been a minute since he's been in office. So Dick Cheney, was a lifelong in government kind of guy. And so he's known in his late stages of political influence for two things, his time as vice president. One is he shot someone. So
I do remember that. Yes.
Thankfully, that individual survived, but there was a bird hunting incident where Vice President Cheney shot another hunter in the face with some bird shot. It was a bad look, obviously.
Sorry.
So that's not good. But also, probably the biggest thing is that he was one of the biggest, if not potentially the biggest advocate for the invasion of Iraq in 2003, based on the flawed intel of WMDs. And oh, by the way, partial owner of a services contracting company that supported both efforts in both Iraq and Afghanistan for the entirety of our existence there. So he's been known as a war profiteer, a warmonger, in the sense of that he knew that he would profit off of U.S. forces being deployed to the Middle East, and he did. If you are a Iraq or Afghanistan veteran and you spent any time at any of the big bases, Kerry Brown and Root, because they provided all the chow halls for all of us at any big base you ever passed through or went to. And that's, part of Dick Cheney's legacy. But he was known as a warmonger and a war profiteer, and it left a lot of bad taste in people's mouths. He also was not, in private, supposedly was a personable guy, but in public was very much not a personable guy.
No, all I can remember of him, of just that sour, angry look on his face all the time, which I have to be it's so weird. I have such an affection for cranky old men. So I actually liked that about him. I liked his, miserable, pouty, cranky face, but I think I might be alone in that.
Yeah. He also in late stages turned his back on the Republican Party.
Yes.
Yeah. So he did not. He was not a fan of President Trump at all. Right. And really turned his back on the President Trump, the MAGA effort. He is also the father of Liz Cheney. So, guilt by association there as well.
A lot of strikes against him. The only one I'm going to give him is this cranky face that I like.
Yeah. Listen, a lifetime, very many years of government service, whether you like him or not. He did, try to contribute to the nation. Did he profit off of it? You could argue that he did. But he did spend a lot of time, in the service of the nation. So not all bad, no matter what anybody says. So rest in peace, Vice President.
I was just going to say, we will choose to honor the good parts of his legacy and honor the office for which he represented, and sympathies to his family and his loved ones and all of that. So yeah. I mean, it's a historical political figure who's passed away. You got to acknowledge that, of course. Sure. Let's talk about somebody, our last one. So I've railed on this guy in many videos. Many times I have talked about him, and there have been, I wouldn't call it defending him, but there has been, there's always, we all know the memes that go around, and I have this long-standing habit now, or long-ish standing habit now, of every time I come across a meme that is giving supposed factual information, I research it. How do I research it? I run it through chat. I check, I'll even check Google, but I'll do a lot of cross-referencing to find the actual truth somewhere. So one of the ones was, I think it was like his, I can't remember what statement was. I will find it for you guys, but there was some statement that he was reported as saying, and I was like, I don't know, is that true? Because I really want to share this so I can beat him up for it. And it turned out it was not a statement that he had ever made. So guys, just be careful with these things. Like, just research them and make sure it's true, because I don't want to be feeling stupid. So, and none of us should want to feel stupid, right? But this here is truth. It is fact. It is multi-checked and confirmed by many, many sources. He has kind of stepped back from his long-standing claim that, we're all going to die from climate change. We're all going to die. But, I love how they all move the goalposts. You've got, what's his name? Al Gore, you've got, of course, Greta. There's been plenty of other ones too, but the main ones that tell you like in 10 years, we're all going to be dead. In 12 years, we're going to be all dead. Well, no, I mean, like 12 years from starting now.
Yeah.
But this is interesting because this is a guy who has, profited. I think you have the numbers, right? Summers, didn't he profit tremendously from
he
this?
has made a lot of money, investment money off of things associated with climate change. And so in the second and third order effects of this, as he has backed away from this, there are a lot of things happening very, very quickly in that you're starting to see like New Jersey had the offshore wind farm investment that's going on. Like they're putting windmills out, offshore in the ocean. Like there are major investors, major corporate investors backing away from this now because they realize that climate change isn't what it was. And trying to put in all of these wind farms and everything else is based on all, mock science, hokum, whatever you want to call it. So, everybody, when you've got a name like Bill Gates and you change your position on something as significant as climate change, everybody takes a pause and they reevaluate because they look at it not scientifically, they look at it economically. And that's what's happening now. So there's some backlash going on. All of the money that he made off of climate change, people are now rethinking their investment in climate change. And listen, Bill Gates has got enough money, he doesn't care. He's made his money. He probably quietly walked away from climate change investment a while before he ever said anything.
Guaranteed.
And now everybody else is going to suffer based on his change of position. So it's just very interesting, folks, that science is not always science. Sometimes it's about money. In fact, I was just going to say, I think most of the time there's, I love the whole believe the science crowd. They're my favorite. Like, you mean the science that paid off Coca-Cola to, the science that paid off the cigarette companies, or I'm sorry, reverse that, please. The companies that paid off the science. Like, come on now. Science can be bought. You sure can.
And it has been time again over history. So be discerning, people. And listen, I don't want to tell you I told you so, but I told you so. I mean, so many people have been saying this for so long. Like this whole, they move the goalposts so any time that it suits them, they move the goalpost. Remember, and they try and deny this too. It was originally global cooling. We were going to freeze to death. Everything was going to turn into a polar, whatever vortex. I don't know. And then that was like, oops, just kidding. We didn't mean global cooling. We mean like global warming. It's getting so hot. We're all going to boil up and die from that. And, the polar bears are going to starve to death. And by the way, that whole image, that polar bear floating on the block of ice was like a whole other thing than what they portrayed it as. Surprise, the media lied to you. They manipulated something. What? Never happens.
Never happens.
So yes, I just, two things I'm enjoying, and I mean that sarcastically, really watching or will enjoy the left and the climate crazies now figuring out how to backpedal and save face. Right? Because now their leader is backpedaling on this and stepping away from it. So now they have to. Next, I wonder what's his new angle? Like my notes say, that Gates now emphasizes innovation, adaptation, human flourishing over doom. Oh, it's got to be his farms with his fake meat, right? Isn't that like,
It's economic, whatever.
The next shift, right? He's just going to shift to whatever the next big money-making scam is, and then that will be the big thing, and all of the little minions will just pivot right with them and be like, oh, now we're doing this. Now this is the most important thing to me. I'm so glad we're in such a discerning, thinking crowd and not the other one. I love you guys so much because I think you keep me sane and not like going over the edge of contempt and disgust and outrage at how stupid and gullible and ridiculous people are. So thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you, Clay. Clay always talks me down. Clay talks me off the ledge of getting angry. And I say all this and I do get fired up. And then there's that flip side of me that's like, you know what? I'm just going to stay kingdom minded here. I'm going to try and be a good steward of, all that I'm supposed to do on this earth in this life. And I'm going to do that. But I'm not going to let myself get so immersed in it that it makes me crazy. Refocus, just refocus. So, yeah. But yeah, I thought that was a good one to talk about. A good one. If you guys hadn't heard it, now you know that he has pivoted to the next big thing. So we can all watch together what the next thing is going to be. I think his fake meat thing, it has failed or is failing. Like,
yeah, states are already outlawing it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
There will be some that stay.
Of course.
Your usual suspects, Washington State, Oregon, the West Coast, California.
Yeah.
You'll probably have some on the East Coast as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, in the Northeast specifically, but the rest of the country they're not buying it.
Yeah. Thank goodness. Thank goodness people are waking up. So yeah, I mean, that's all we got. That was a great show. That was a lot of good stuff. Whew, only started losing it towards the end. I think I stayed pretty calm throughout, right? You stay calm, I stay calm. We're all calm.
We're trying.
We're trying, man.
They're testing us every day. They're testing us every day.
They are testing us, but good. But yeah, so we'll see you guys all in the comments section. Clay, you go ahead and close them out with your final message for the evening.
Hey, folks, book 3, Terry Davis series, my third novel, drops next Tuesday on Veterans Day. So look for that on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. So that's big news for me. But Rebellis is the name of the third book, and it drops on Tuesday. You can find it under my name or under the name of the book, Rebellis, on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And thanks, everybody, for having us. And we appreciate you all being here with us. And we'll see you in the comments section. And from me, as always, keep moving, keep shooting.
Take care, guys.
Combat veteran Terry Davis thought he left the fight behind. In Tampa, he uncovered a deadly conspiracy. Now, he's back home in Chicago, and war has followed him to his doorstep. Gangs armed like soldiers, a shadowy enemy rising from the past, and one man who refuses to stand down. From the quiet suburbs to the shores of Lake Michigan, Terry Davis will risk everything to protect the people he loves, because that is his cross to bear. Clay Novak's explosive new novel, Cross to Bear, Book 2 in the Terry Davis series.
She's the voice behind the viral comedy, bold commentary, and truth-packed interviews that cut through the chaos. Author, brand creator, proud conservative Christian, this is Elsa Kurt. Welcome to the show that always brings bold faith, real truth, and no apologies.